Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this amazing, beautiful day. Today is going to be really interesting. It's always good when you actually get to chat with your friends and get to ask questions, relax, and really chat with people that you know really well, that you've seen for from almost from the beginning to where they are now. Today, we are having a conversation in the most beautiful gear that I'm wearing now, from the t shirt to the hat. I'm all geared up. You think I work for the company, but this beautiful P here that made waves in the whiskey industry. Without further ado, I know we ran a little late, so I want to make sure that we jump in directly. If you guys don't know them, you get the opportunity to know who these gentlemen are. They've made a lot of changes in the industry. They've changed how we perceive bourbon as a whole. And I wanted the opportunity for you guys to hear it directly from them. I'm gonna bring them on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's welcome Mike and Danny.
Such a nice warm
Hey,
welcome, man. I love it.
what
Thank
is
you.
up?
I love it. Good to see you, buddy.
What's up, gents? What's up, gent? Let's move y'all around a little bit, and but I will set y'all up this way first. But yeah, as we talk, we'll make sure we highlight each one of you. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you guys coming on. You guys seen me at my beginning. It's almost been over 5 years now, and I've seen some of the things you guys were doing as you came on the market. And I wanted to talk to you guys because life, a lot of things happened since the last time we've spoken, and I wanted to chat with y'all, let the people know what's happening with Penelope. I know I've gotten a lot of questions since the changes were happening, and I wanted to make sure that people hear it directly from you, because you guys have always been the brand of the people. You have never been just a standoffish brand or just a brand. You've always been people. So I wanted to bring y'all on.
I
Welcome, gentlemen.
appreciate it. Thank
Good to
you.
see you.
I
uh,
remember that basement. We've hung out
I
in
know.
that.
I was gonna
Love
say
that spot down there. I missed that. What, dude? That was like
in
2 years
a
ago. What
while.
was that? 2.5 years ago?
yeah, 2.5
Crazy.
years ago. You guys need to come back. that's
I
that's
know.
what it means. You need to come back.
That was fun.
uh,
That was a good time.
I will let you guys introduce yourself. Flip a coin, or we let you decide. But we know Mike like can talk, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
tease.
Let's let Danny go. Danny
We're
will
gonna
go.
start
No,
with
no,
Danny.
don't flip it around, Mike. You go first.
I'm not saying a word. I'm just gonna nod the rest of the night.
Oh, great.
So let's start with Danny. Danny, introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? And why should the people know who you are?
Yeah, I'm Danny Polisi, one of the founders of Penelope Bourbon. Also, the blender of
Mhm.
The
Penelope.
blender.
The blender.
It's like a WWE star.
Yeah,
I'm
I
the
wish I had some
blender.
intro music.
No, absolutely. For all of you guys who don't know, maybe you guys don't know, but if you don't know, Danny is probably the most quiet person you ever meet in your life. But he's like a quiet storm. He does a lot, but almost no one knows till about 2 years ago. The presented him with blender of the year, and I'm like, yeah, your work is recognized. You don't talk a lot, but you work hard. So I want y'all to actually know that he may not talk a lot, but today I structured the interview so we make Danny talk the whole time,
No.
so he
I'm
can
on.
tell us all the things that are coming. Because Mike is the salesman, clearly, and you can put Mike in a room full of Eskimos and he will sell them water. So so he will sell them ice water and ice water if you let him. So Mike, introduce yourself to the folks.
Yeah, I'm the salesperson, Mike Palladini.
Mike.
Um, no, but it's good to be back. We're excited. I feel like the last year, every time we did these shows, we'd be like, because we had so many kids. I was just thinking about this like an hour ago. I was like, it's like, oh, tell us what's been going on in your life. And Danny would be like, I got twins, or we have Cooper, or we have Henry. They were kind of sprouting out like wildfire. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, it's good to be here. Thank you for having us.
No, absolutely. So if you're still confused about the brain, obviously this is Penelope. Um, Mike, you the salesman, tell the people how the name came about. And I think that's probably the most authentic story that I've heard in the industry. So A little recap. We're gonna go through memory lane and tell the people a little bit how the name Penelope came about.
The
Yeah, I
visionary.
mean, no, not really. I mean, it was, my wife and I were trying to have children for quite some time, and that's a stressful process if you've ever been through it. And we always loved the name Penelope. If we had a girl, we didn't obviously know at the time, but we were like, God, we love the name, so we kind of put that in the parking lot. In parallel, Danny and I were just kind of avid bourbon drinkers. Like that was our drink of choice. I never really was too into beer or wine. Still really not, actually, if you come to think of it. So yeah, I mean, and then long story short, we had no background in liquor, but my wife Carrie and I found out we were having a girl, and we knew the name right away. And it was probably like 3 or 4 days later where it just kind of popped up, like, man, that's got a great ring to it, Penelope Bourbon. And there was like some music that would always play in the background every time I'd say it. And I don't know, it just had a good feel. I don't know, it just was something it kind of probably coming off the heels of the news and the excitement and being on this kind of like this it was a very surreal time. And so I don't know, I just called Danny. I was like, dude, I got a crazy idea. He's like, you're completely nuts. But that was really the basis of it. And it's crazy. Like, I mean, Penelope, my daughter, she just turned 5, and I was thinking about it. It's like, wow, man, that is the duration basically of the company.
Correct.
I remember being on in the hospital, and my wife was like, "Where are you going?" And she wasn't delivering quite yet, but like I was on the phone with Danny because we were starting our first production run.
Yep.
So I'm outside the hospital, like pacing and all this stuff. And she's like, "Are you serious?"
It is serious. I feel like that's your relationship with Danny. It's like, Danny, I have a crazy idea. And
Yeah.
that's always how it starts. But I love it because no great idea comes as this just came to me in my sleep. It's more like I have a crazy idea. And then you try it. And the most successful ideas come that way. Blending. Let's talk about blending. Danny, I told you will be talking today. So how did you become the blender? What wasn't it, Mike? Right? How does it end up being you?
I don't know. I mean, it was going to be one of us, and Mike was really good at tasting and giving feedback.
I was awesome at feedback.
Yeah. And then it just came down to like patience and time, I guess. Over the years, you just keep doing it over and over and over again, and you kind of get a little better at it over time. And I tell everybody, because everybody's always like, how do you blend? How do you do it? Like, it's like there's no secret sauce to it. It's like if you have patience and time, you just make up a ton of blends and taste through them all, and then pick pick the good one. And then over time, you get better and better. Over time, if I had to put together 80 blends the first time around, just kind of coming up with all different iterations of how you can possibly mix these ingredients together. Now maybe you get to the final answer a lot quicker instead of it taking like 5 days. You could come up with the blend and get to the final product a lot quicker.
Absolutely. I love the simplicity. And sometimes you guys humbleness and just simplicity kind of it's almost annoying because I'm expecting you guys to actually be a little pompous
Jack just wants to shake us.
I know it'd be a little proud of it, but you guys are just grounded. Before we get into the bigger news of 2023 as far as your brand, I really honestly want to know, and because we're streaming on LinkedIn, a lot of people maybe want to start this, maybe look at you and go, you know what? Maybe one day I want to be like the Mike and Danny's of the world. How do you remain grounded? That's always been my question. And for anybody that is an entrepreneur that want to get into the industry, if you had one advice for them, how do you remain grounded before we get to the exciting? I feel like it's important to ask that question.
I mean, Danny, you may have obviously a different answer, but just thinking about like those early on where it's just the Wild West. You're like, oh my God, we got to set up an email account. Oh, we got to get a permit. Oh my God, we need bourbon. Oh my God, we need a bottling line. Oh my God, we need glass. Blah, blah, blah. And we didn't know anybody. So, and we didn't really have any money. That was the other thing, which was tricky. I think for us, it was just tackling 1% every day, continually improving a little bit at a time, and really just staying super, super dialed in. And we've kind of still have always kept that dialed in. Like, even with, if you look at a lot of our products, we have a lot of expressions, but a lot of those expressions are just iterations of the mash bills that we know so well. It wasn't up until Tokai that we did a rye release, which was 3.5 years in. So I think just the focus was always really important for us. That's right. There it is.
My all-time favorite. I voted for this for Rye of the Year twice in a row. No one is listening to me, but we'll get to it.
Well, maybe 24 we'll get it.
Got a bunch of rye samples right here.
Nice.
But Danny, what will be your take on that staying grounded? I mean, you are 2022 master, blender of the year. Obviously, you are. Is it 2022? I believe.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To Mike's point, yeah, just like kind of really focusing in on what's directly in front of you, kind of like weeding out the noise. People usually get overwhelmed going into like a new world or a new industry, because you don't know everything. But like, don't let that far off kind of end being like stop you from getting into like getting your toe in the water a little bit,
Correct.
It's just like, if you want it and you have a little bit of like sense to like know like how to manage and kind of, like Mike said, block and tackle, like you could get through it and just keep pushing.
Got to keep pushing. Got to be. This is making me have to have a pour. Because this truly is inspiring and reminding everybody to keep pushing. The life of a business owner, of an entrepreneur, is never easy, and I have to remind people that is one of those lives you may see to be cool from the outside, but it requires a lot. And for all of you guys watching, this is my pick of Penelope. It has my name on it. So
that was a good one. I'd bottle that.
That was fun.
I'm pouring also because this is obviously an exciting year for Penelope, right? A very exciting year. Acquisition. I was driving. I still remember when I saw this. I'm driving and I see an article come on Forbes, and I'm like, okay, Penelope on Forbes. What's happening? And I click on it. Acquisition, 5 years. This is 5 years. What happened here? And all of a sudden, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Are these the same people I know? So immediately I pick up the phone and I call Matt. He doesn't answer. I'm like, okay, all right.
I'm sure Matt and Wendy got a ton of calls, Matt. Wendy.
And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. All right. And I just send a message to the group like, congratulations, with exclamation point, because I wasn't sure what was going on. And yes, 6 articles later, 20, thousands of posts later, it's like, yes, you guys are not part of the Luxrose/MGP family. Tell me how, where, when, which everybody wants to know, and how did that happen?
Danny.
Yeah.
Danny the talker.
Danny the talker.
I know. Sometimes
that was your question, by the way.
Sometimes I forget.
That was the one moment to shine.
It happened, and because we're still, we're so in the weeds still, and it's just it was a big year. We think of it like kind of like the it was just part of our natural evolution as Penelope bourbon. Like, hey, the first thing we ever needed was whiskey, right? So we went and found whiskey, Then we needed a permit, so we went and found a permit. So years go on,
Mhm.
and it was like, well, damn, we're selling a lot of cases, and we're probably going to need a distillery someday, or like we're probably going to need a lifetime source, or like a real source, or kind of like the evolution of like the brand.
Mhm.
And it just kind of came out of the blue a little bit, and it just felt very natural to kind of go into. I mean, that's how I felt. I don't, Mike probably
My
has.
question at that time was, why didn't you say no?
Spot on.
Why didn't we say no?
Yeah, that was my question. I'm like, why didn't they say no?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think, I mean, the big thing was, we've always just talked about it, like, we want to get to like 1 million cases.
Mhm.
And to get there with the barrel situation at the time, and there was a lot of, it was just an interesting barrel market. Prices were kind of fluctuating. There was a lot of ebbs and flows on the spot market on barrel. I mean, it was just getting a little crazy. And at the end of the day, we've been partners of MGP since day one. I mean, they were the first phone call we made. We know that team, really, really well, in particular, more on the distilled solution side, but even knowing the folks on the other side as well. And so, I mean, that's still our goal, is just continue to grow this. And we, it's really, to us, it doesn't feel like an acquisition. It really feels like a strategic partnership. And that's like what we need. And, there's I think that was, for me, that's how I felt it was going to help us get to that next level.
And really, that was my kind of view of it, because it's almost like, going home, right? You had a relationship with them, you knew how they function. It only kind of made sense at that time. But I had to challenge you a little bit to know what was the thought process and how did you guys actually say yes. But it does sound natural when you hear it, because that's the source of your barrels. That's where you already getting most of your business. We had a good business relationship, so it only makes sense that now you both are obviously working together in the same house. Which, the question is, does that mean bigger access?
I would hope so. No, but I mean, you look at this. So,
I'm just asking questions that people ask me, right? Because a lot of people
it's a great question. That exactly, like we were like excited, like, oh my gosh, like what's like, because we operated heavily in the world of 4 to 5 years. So maybe on occasion we'd have the 6 year. Like I think the Tokai was a 6 year, and it would just be by coincidence or how that kind of shaped up. So let's just say 4 to 6 years was our sweet spot, really, that we dabbled in. Since the acquisition, we've released Private Select 9 year. We've released, the American Light Whiskey, which I never thought was ever coming back. The our 15-year light whiskey. Yeah, there it is. The barrel strength. Our batch 16 now is incorporating Kentucky wheat out of Lux Row, and it's just been fun. I mean, this is what we kind of hoped for. Was we didn't want to like tinker around with the acquisition. Yeah, we're gonna get to go to bed a little bit earlier. Danny was in bed at 8:30 last night. I was like trying to call him, and I'm like, where is this guy? I was on the phone with Matt till like maybe 11:30.
Well, not to sidetrack, but Mike pitched me on like this fasting thing. So
yeah, I just got off a 48-hour fast.
Yeah, so I did a 24-hour fast, and then I was starving, so I ate like a big burrito, and then I just went into a food coma and went to bed.
Considering we've been drinking bourbon 7 days a week for the last 5 years and eating pizza and on the road, I'm maybe just giving your body like one little day off might not be a bad idea.
That has been 3 days out of the week. That's me. Now I've saw myself just through tasting and doing all these things in bourbon. All of a sudden you're like, these pants don't fit right. These think this shirt don't fit right anymore. So yeah, I'm back. I literally, before I came to the interview, came from the gym because I broke my fast. I had some oatmeal. I went to the gym and I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to drink bourbon and talk to my friends.
Heck yeah.
People, hey, who is this guy? Everybody's jumping in. People are excited to see you guys. You guys are the industry favorite. If the industry had favorites, obviously you guys are the industry favorite. Everybody is coming in saying hello.
Danny's Danny's the golden child.
So if you're here, keep saying hello, keep jumping in, share this on Facebook. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, and we are also on LinkedIn. Share this with your friend, bring them in so they can know more about these guys, because for me, they're inspiring. I'm so proud to call them friends. They every day that I see everything that they do, I get excited because I know it comes from a natural place, but I also know that it literally comes from a place of good intention, which is important to me. Good intention. So now let's talk about the releases. You now part of MGP, and now things are coming out. First thing you come is a banger, right? And I'm gonna taste it right in front of Danny, so he can really see my honest. I had this bottle for almost a month, but I didn't want to open it. I said I know how Danny get nervous when someone have to try his whiskey first, so I'm like, "Oh, let me give him a small heart attack
Oh,
and
man,
make
I
sure that
remember.
I actually jump in and
Yeah,
try."
keep him honest, make him sweat a little bit.
So I wanted to make sure that I tried it right in front of me. Danny, I told you you're going to be talking a lot. Tell me about this 9 year. How did he come about? I can see the recipe behind, but tell the folks, if someone is planning on picking up this private select 9 year, what should they know about this?
So the core of Penelope, we have a 4-grain 80 proof. We have a 4-grain barrel strength, and that's really how Penelope started. And those two products they're blended bourbon. So they have 3 mash bills that are blended to bourbon to make this blended 4-grain bourbon. That's kind of what our staple had been early on. So this private select label, this black label, has always been kind of bespoke blends of our 3 mash bills. This one specifically, like to date, it's always been about 5 to 6 years. It's always been like the most unique or oldest, not necessarily oldest, but most unique barrels that we had at the time. So when we merged with MGP, we had a little bit more of access to some of the whiskey, and we went digging the first couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And what we found were some of these older barrels, some 10 and 11-year-old or 9 and 10-year-old barrels of a 99% corn mash bill, a 21% rye mash bill, and then a wheated bourbon out of Kentucky that we used as part of the blend. So that was actually one of the first blends, actually barrel strength batch 16 and this, where we used a Kentucky mash bill in one of our releases.
I mean, beautiful color on this thing. I mean, it looks 9 years and older. Obviously, it looks 10 years or more older. Beautiful color, nice candy cherry on the nose, beautiful bacon spice coming up on the top. Yeah, straight to the point. Smell like good bourbon. That's
Nice.
that's the best way to put it.
That almost sounded like you're like, that's a great comment I should use. It's like, no, this bourbon's very matter of fact.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
It
now
doesn't have that
cheers.
fruit smell.
Absolutely. I'm trying the 9 year private select that is currently available on almost every market. And I don't know if Sealbacks have it now for people that shop online, but I would say look for it online. You can actually, for all the folks here, you can actually go on Penelope Bourbon directly and look on the shop if it's available to ship on your to your state. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to send it your way. But I'm get to try it for the first time for you folks, people that come here for the reviews only.
So that the private select has always been kind of just like a blank canvas, with our barrel strength, our 4-grain. You sort of blend to the barrels that you have on the barrel strength, blend to a profile on the 80 proof 4-grain. And then private select's always been like, and even Mike is like, just go nuts, like whatever works, whatever direction. I love the 99 corn mash bill at MGP. It's a flat, just very straightforward mash bill,
Right.
but when it's aged right and it's just done right, it's delicious.
Whoa.
So a lot of the base of this blend is that 99% corn mash bill. So it's high corn.
This is 109 proof, but does not drink like it.
No.
I'll be honest, that corn,
Oh,
give it a center, right? It keeps it centered, amazing on the rye that touch your mouth feel.
Yeah.
Keep it a little oily there, right in the middle. Nice oily mouth feel, and comes down perfectly. Cinnamon base, not even spice, more cinnamon base in the back there. This it tastes older. It tastes older than 9 year. If I
yeah,
had this in a
yeah,
blind,
I
I
agree.
would definitely say is 10 year or more. It does not taste anything like 9 year at all.
You get that old dusty vibe to it a little bit.
Yeah, and more like a little bit of that. There's a certain oakiness on older bourbon that you get right there, but it's counterbalanced immediately by that corn
Mhm.
sweetness. So you don't really get it, but it literally just boom
It
gets
just
you there.
it touches it, right?
Correct.
So
It's
the
almost like a
A
tap,
subtle, very subtle.
on there.
so it's something I've really kind of dug into on the Kentucky bourbon side of it, like the stuff coming out of Lux Row, like the malted barley component is, a lot higher than the Indiana juice, right? The Indiana mash bills are usually around like that 4% malted barley. So this one,
Oh,
the
nice.
the weeded bourbon was
Cool.
12% malted barley, and then that aged at that 10-year mark, gives it that like dusty feeling.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you right now, Danny. You know I don't bullshit you.
No,
Uh,
you don't. You're very honest.
yeah, I am almost too
Brutally
brutal
honest.
sometime in my opinion, but this gives me the
Especially
shiver.
when you're sitting in the basement. He'll tell you
Oh
what he'll
yeah,
tell you what
yeah.
he
This
thinks.
gives me the shivers. This is the perfect release for that fall/winter pour. It's like it gives literally. I got shivers. It's that good. It's like I tell people all the time. There's something about drinking. If you have been around like me and you've tried a lot of bourbon, when you drink one, when it's good, you can use all the adjective, all the beautiful words that we use to describe it, but it's good. Good bourbon. Like this is good bourbon, right? That's where I put it. And at
That's
this, and
awesome.
and speaking of good bourbon, the one thing about in relation in the industry is good bourbon mean expensive bourbon, but Penelope believe completely the opposite. Tell us, how were you able to make a bourbon affordable for regular folks? Before we get to the 15-year American Light Whiskey, I have to remind you that I've had 5 conversations in 2023 that all resorts about this new trend that brand have about, I'll give you a 5-year-old whiskey, I'll charge you $99 for it, or I'll give you a 10-year-old whiskey and I'll charge you over $250 for it. But something about Penelope as a brand is saying, we want the average Joe, blue collar, immigrant guy, any, mom with 6 kids need a low pour bourbon to be able to go to the grocery store and pick up a bottle and not feeling like they're spending an arm and a leg. How are
Mhm.
you able to do that? That's a question that is very dear to me.
Yeah. I mean, this has been the kind of ethos of since the beginning, right, Danny? I mean, since the beginning, we always wanted to be a great bourbon at a great price that's always available. That's always been our model. Now I know though, and that was actually one of the things that was kind of like the whole with the Rio as an example, like that. We didn't kind of expect that kind of
Don't get me
shock.
started on Rio. You want to choose violence. Use the word Rio in this. There's a reason why I have not said Rio yet, because I wanted at least to pass the
we,
first half hour
we
before
don't
we
talk
choose
about
violence. So
Rio.
we don't talk
Yeah,
there, like
we
we
don't.
don't
Yeah,
talk
yeah. What
about
was it from?
Rio.
We don't
Oh,
talk about
oh.
Bruno.
Yeah, we don't talk about
Now
Rio.
Rio. Yeah, we should. That's really good. I like that. So, but no, even with the Rio, like we fast tracked to get as much. So we have a 4,000 case batch coming in February. Probably hit like early March ish. But yeah, that's always been the thing for us is
But why? I want to know why.
I think that's just how we run a business. So like when we have a business, you don't run it to be in the red. You want to run it to be profitable. When you create a business, you want a business to be able to stand the lengths of time and with, have some durability. So you want to have a really strong foundation from a business perspective. And that's like kind of how you're operating. But that's going to start with, okay, what product are you selling it? And what price are you at? And, for us, I've kind of been in the retail space before, and new products in particular, it doesn't matter how cool our P or how big our P is. We know with very strong certainty that bottles do not sell themselves off the shelf. And so, pricing it in accordance appropriately was always something that was absolutely big for us. So, and it will continue to be.
And we thought about our own, kind of bottles. Like, I don't know the last time I bought a bottle over $100. Like you're just kind of working with a lot of good stuff on the shelf, and you just have to be realistic about, who you are, what you're putting out, and who you're sitting next to on the shelf.
We got Irish people commenting on Penelope.
Ooh.
That tells you a lot.
Cool.
about your brand as a whole. But
that's awesome.
Nice.
And like I said, we're being watched worldwide right now. I have friends that are actually on the side of Africa that are like, I brought some Penelope with me. So and they really loved it. So they're like, well, I'm gonna watch it. And they're up now, almost 6 hours difference, and it's midnight there. They're watching because
good morning.
It's something that they really, really appreciated, because I think I took the castrant with me, and I took one of my pig with me last year, and awesome. that did not make the evening. It was plenty of. We had some meat and some Penelope, and that bottle was gone. So they really, really did appreciate that. But let's talk about innovations that you guys brought on the market, because I will be honest, when it comes to, there's only 4 brands that I say gives you every level of whiskey that you need, from the average entry whiskey to, the complex castering, to a little bit of innovation finishing, or, different barrels, and obviously the premium brand that you are looking for into a whiskey. And Penelope is my top 2, right? There's 4, but my top 2 is Penelope. Let's talk about innovation. Last year, you guys went a little crazy and a little wild. I had to call. I almost called.
The ADD caught up to us
and said, "Danny, this is really out of character for you. What's going on?" So Penelope started exploring. Let's start with the big R word that no one likes to talk about, because he went wild, he went crazy, he went everywhere. Let's talk about Rio, because all I have from Rio is just a sample, because even in my state, I couldn't find Rio. So let's talk about Rio. What in the heck happened to you, Danny? Tell me about Rio.
I was basically making 2 separate products. We were doing a honey finish, and then we were doing an Ambriana finish. And we had these projects going kind of at the same time. Mm-hmm. Actually, the honey project, we started maybe 3 years ago, and we just kind of forgot about it. And these barrels were sitting.
Literally.
Yeah. These honey barrels that we filled with honey were sitting in a farm in New Jersey. And we, Mike goes, "Hey, what happened to the honey?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I got to get those barrels back and fill them." So we filled them. So one night we're on the phone, Mike and I and Matt Ward, and we're kind of just talking about new stuff. And we're actually talking about the honey, and we were trying to come up with like a name or what we were going to call it, what the label was going to look like. And I'm sitting there with the samples and tasted, oh, that's really good. Taste the Ambriana, that's really good. And then we started talking about the Ambriana, and Mike's like, we couldn't really get to a point. Mike just goes, "Whoa, what if you just combine the 2?" So he comes,
the salesman of the group.
That's what we call Mike's Hail Mary. He has those Hail Marys where he throws out an idea, and like
1 out of like 5,000 works.
But when they work, they work. So I sit there and I mix the honey with the Ambriana just to see what it tastes like. And it was just something so different. It's not like a straight bourbon profile, but it's there's bourbon, and then you got this cinnamon toast crunch, and then you got this
Yep.
this honey deliciousness, and it
It's
all went together, and it worked.
it's
From
dessert. It's
Yeah,
dessert. It was probably it was so not you, Danny, right? It was so not you. I feel like your the bourbon you make usually is a little bit of your character. It is true. It is always staying north, and it has integrity. It has legs, and it's always on point. You never disappoint. If you blend something, I usually walk in and go, okay, I know what to expect. Real that was a wild card. I was like,
yeah,
this is not somebody.
Rio was like
Somebody could
Danny.
horse you into doing something because I was like, you don't, it was very desserty. It was. I reviewed it, but I didn't want to post it because I felt like I came off a low negative because I had expectations of what Penelope is. But
yeah.
then I started asking, people on TikTok, people when I do lives, I say, what do you think of Rio? And everyone was like, I just love it. I love it. But I don't really like sweet in bourbon, right? Personally. So I was like, oh, but that umbrana kept it interesting. And I kept coming back to it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is dessert. This is I just finished eating. I just want to sit here and I just want dessert. I don't want anything to knock me off my socks. I just want dessert. And it was just a perfect dessert because I had to come back to it and try it again and with the right mindset. And all of a sudden it makes sense. Rio wasn't the only thing you actually did last year. Let's talk about uh this thing right here that made me go, what else is going on at Penelope?
Oh yeah.
No,
Let,
yeah.
us talk about that. Let's talk about Valencia. What happened here?
And we went a different etched glass design on that one.
I know.
Double orange.
You guys are just throwing stuff at us. So I really wanted to talk about innovations and what you're doing different because I feel like people got used to what I like to call, the regular thing at Penelope. You guys always, had the same expression for a long time, kept it thing only on a single barrel side. We've seen difference, but to have regular expressions coming out that are so out of pocket, but so interesting, I wanted to highlight those.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Valencia because people are still asking about Valencia. So let's talk about Valencia.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did Valencia came about? How did that came about?
Marty,
Mike.
what's up, buddy?
Mike, I think you got the call on the Valencia stuff, and then I don't know. Sometimes Mike has conversations with people and he buys stuff, and then they show up at the warehouse, and he's like, I don't know, it sounded good.
Orange wine
I should
barrels.
call
that
Mike
at
more often.
Sevilla.
I got stuff to sell you, Mike.
I mean, the way that Rob is the salesperson over here. He's painting this picture like orange wine barrels, Sevilla, Spain, palm trees, beach, beautiful. Did I mention Spain? I'm like, oh, I gotta have them. I gotta have these things. I didn't even care what it tastes like. I was like, let me get them.
But the liquid from the barrels came in because I was like, well, what's the liquid like? Does it work? And it shows up, and it was dark as anything. It was dark as coffee. This wine,
really,
this
really
orange wine, because it was in its like raw
delicious
form.
though, absolutely delicious.
And it was so delicious. It was like an orange creamsicle, and it just had like a really like viscous body, and then we started mixing it with some of the bourbon blends, and it just worked. We were so excited.
And it was one of those expressions also that you had at a lower proof, 97.
Yeah. A lot of the finishes we like to do at those lower proofs because the water brings out the sugars in the fruits and the wines.
Okay. All right.
Nice. What's up, man?
Really, really, again, really interesting on what you're putting out there, what you're bringing in. We're going to take an intermission, and talk about something you guys did that just went a little bit under the radar. And I'm looking at you, Mike.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm looking at you, Mike. Because I sat on my porch for almost 3 months waiting to try it, and it never made it in the mail.
Oh, which one is it?
Let's talk about wine. Since these things came from Spain, You did something. I want to hear what happened. Something happened where a rosé wine somewhere. I heard. Never
Yeah,
seen a
yeah.
bottle.
Kind of just like
Don't know
slid
what
that one
happened.
under the rug.
Yeah, So tell me about that, Mike. What happened there?
I don't even know. No, 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 no. It was man, it was probably going back like spring of last year ish. We had so we have our rosé cast finish, right? It's one of our it was our first Cooper series release.
Hmm.
Nice, Brian. Awesome. Sayreville. That's like 10 minutes from me. So it was right around the summertime, but we were running into issues on our supply chain with our rosé cast finish because that particular SKU requires a very particular type of rosé wine.
Hmm.
And then, what I've come to find out is that rosé wine is really not an oak aged wine. I mean, it's usually
Correct.
finished in stainless steel. So
Correct.
to find this very specific varietal of kind of like 100% Grenache rosé, which is like the sweeter grape,
Yep.
and then to have it barrel aged became basically I don't know if it was impossible, but became almost a huge
It's
hindrance.
almost not true if you hear it.
Yeah, it doesn't even make
Grenache, rosé, and barrel. That's
they'd be
almost
like,
like impossible.
yeah, yeah, pretty much. I mean, we didn't know. I was like, come on, someone's got to have it. So we
Yeah.
couldn't find it. So I just said, well, why don't we, just go make our own rosé, and that way we can control the supply chain, and our wives would be happy. They love rosé, so we got to make it
I love
good.
rosé, but you didn't send me any
Oh,
rosé.
I'll send it to you. We got plenty of it. Trust me, I got plenty of it. I'll get you some bottles. It was yeah, so that was it. We went out to France in September of last year, and it was really honestly, I was so bullish on this. I still am. It's just such a cool experience to actually. So I thought that, and this is where I thought like, we obviously were acquired, and so things took a different course. But the future of cast finishes, I was like, well, this is like the ultimate cast finish. It's like forget all this about getting a barrel. Like we literally blended and created the rosé wine with the winemaker and his family in France, and blended this to specification, knowing what we needed for our rosé cast finish.
Nice.
So it's pretty, yeah, it was actually a really cool experience.
Fabuleux, fabuleux. That's
Oh yeah, it was wild.
I really, really, really was so excited when I heard that because what I tell people often that the hardest thing when you're actually tasting, which is my main problem with finishes, is people don't understand finishes because they don't know what that barrel came from, right? They don't know the journey of whatever. I don't care if it's cognac, armagnac, calvados, whatever it is that is finished in, even sherry. If you never had sherry wine, how would you know what the effect of it will be on your whiskey? If you
Yeah.
never had rum, well, what does he mean when your whiskey is finished in rum? So I always urge people to try
Yeah.
where the barrel come from. So I I cannot wait to put the side by side to go, okay, rosé. Let's try the source itself and obviously how the whiskey is finishing because
Yeah.
it's a big deal when you understand that, right?
Yeah.
Big deal when you understand it. Mike, idea for you. Start packaging them. You
And
buy
not
the rosé with the rosé, right? Both rosés. That's what the holiday gift for people.
Oh, but
Crazy.
we were
Got a lot
we
of
were
it.
running into this,
I like
we were running into this as we were getting these barrels in, to your point, you get a Tokai barrel in, and you know how many regions of Tokai there are and the
Correct.
different types, and there's dry and
Correct.
and there's the sweet and there's the, so there's just all these different profiles. And I remember we got a load of barrels in one time, and like half of them were like dry as hell, and the other were like sweet, like they were from different areas. And that's why we actually came out with multiple batches of that release, because we had to like kind of go through, figure out what kind of wine was in them, and then profile them out and fill them in different ways. But
And I'm gonna come to Tokai because again, I personally believe, and this is, don't quote me on this, but I believe, Danny, you started the Tokai almost, I would say, wave.
really,
Because before you release your Tokai, which was 2 years ago, before you release your Tokai, I have not seen it on the market. There was some Tokai single malt that I've seen, but not in the bourbon side. So the craziest thing is, I posted about the Tokai. I remember I did like a ooh, I like that about the Tokai, and a lot of people were like, "Well, what is this Tokai G?" Tokai, like people were saying like, I never
That was like
seen
us
that
internally
before.
for about 6 months.
Right. So obviously people started asking the question, and it's like, oh, Hungary and wine, and all of a sudden now the question started coming. But it took 9 months later, and I saw a Tokai with another brand. I'm like, oh. And then a couple months later, I saw another one. I'm like, oh, Danny started something. Because once it came in the market and you release your Tokai, all of a sudden it became a thing now where people started releasing Tokai, and I'm like, oh, you started something different. But we're gonna come to the Tokai because that's the last thing I want to talk about, because that's my favorite thing, all right,
Nice.
ever out of
Okay.
that in your toasted, the toasted one. But let's talk about the question the person just asked, because a lot of people are not aware of this because it's so new. Um, August just asked, will will be coming out with the American whiskey, light whiskey again? August, your prayers have been answered. Your prayer have been
Cool.
answered, because the American light whiskey, it is out now, and thank you for dropping that answer for him. But I want to make sure everybody's aware that it is out now on the market. Um, it's part of the Founders Series. Is a 15-year light whiskey, and is also, are you ready? 128.4. It's hard to find a whiskey that is 15-year, over 115 proof, that is light whiskey, and still hold its own. Obviously, we have some corn, malted barley. I will let Danny tell us about this second release of the American light whiskey, because I have my first one and I hold that thing like it was gold. I don't even touch it, because I still have the original one that Danny had in his bag that he left in my basement,
I
that
remember
he
that.
didn't know he forgot. And I'm like, you're not getting that one back.
Then
That
he calls. He's like, "Did you see my American light whiskey sample?"
no,
You're
no,
like,
no,
"No,
no one,
I
no,
just
Keep
left it
losing
somewhere."
it's
those
gone.
things.
It's gone.
That's funny.
So
Light the light
tell us
whiskey
about
was
this American light whiskey,
yeah,
post MGP acquisition. Oh,
that
how we
light
gonna go
whiskey
about
was just intriguing for Mike and I. It was the first release uh, that wasn't a bourbon. Yeah, it was before the Tokai. So the
Yeah, yeah,
Tokai was
yeah.
our first rye release.
January 2022.
Right. And I remember the three, me and Mike, and we were on the phone with one of the blenders at MGP, Sam, and we were just talking about, because we were looking to purchase some barrels for our regular releases, and we were going through all the bourbons, and he
Nice. Thanks,
pops
Lee.
up and he goes, "Hey, I just want to let you know, like, we have these light whiskey barrels, that just became available. Like, I thought of you guys, because you knew, like, I love the 99 corn, and we use the 99 corn bourbon in our releases." And we were like, "Well, what's light whiskey?" Like, we
Mhm.
didn't. He's like, "Let me
I
send
don't
you a
even know.
sample. Let me
We
send
were
you a
like,
sample."
yeah, let's remember that.
So he sends us a sample. I remember Mike tasted it. He's like, "Get all of them. Get all the barrels. Like, I want them all." It was
And he's
just
like, "We don't have any money." I'm like, "I don't care. Sell
exactly. I
something.
was like,
Sell
"Well, what
your
about
sell
our
clothes."
main
I don't know,
product?"
Go from Peter, sell to Paul. We're
Yeah.
getting these bottles.
It was, I mean, it was one of the best things one of the best triggers you pulled, Mike, because it was, at the time, it was like, we don't have the money, and, like, we don't have a product. Like, what are we going to put it in? He's like, "Trust me, it's going to be great." And, like, I loved it. It was delicious. I still love it.
It's corn and malted barley.
It's corn, 99% corn grain, 1% malted barley, comes off the still at 189 proof. And then it goes into the barrel at 140 proof. So that's why it can't be called bourbon. And it's in a used barrel. So it's not in a new oak American charred barrel.
Oh wow.
But with some
No
age,
wonder the color doesn't come off as dark.
No, it's not too dark. But and keep in mind that that's the 15 year. You know, that's 15 years in a used barrel, and it just gives this like this kind of amber color, and but the taste and on the palate, it's like drinking a light, fluffy chocolate milkshake. And I always compare it to, if anybody's ever had like a Wendy's chocolate frosty shake.
Yeah, of course.
You know how it's like air almost, like but it's chocolatey and delicious. Like that's what I think of the light whiskey when I drink it.
Everyone's like, this guy is nuts. I like Frosties. Frosties are great, man. I actually haven't had one in a while.
I just convinced myself that I'm gonna have a pour.
I'm telling you right now, the way this whiskey feels is odd. Like I have to now. I didn't plan on reviewing this, but I'm going to review it because it is sweet, has a kick to it, not a clovey kick to it. The finish is like a speed rail in, and immediately it warms your chest completely.
Yeah.
Holy moly, mother of Jesus. Holy crap.
I feel like you're right. You're spot on. Like light whiskey is just weird. I mean, it's just so different.
Oh my God. This is Thanksgiving. This is warmth, family, hugs, joy, familiarity in a glass. That's what it is. This is
Hallmark
not
cards, Hallmark card.
This is a Hallmark card in a glass. That's the quote of the night. This is a Hallmark card in a glass. This is the nose is mesmerizing. Is holy crap. That corn gives you some nice sweetness, some nice. I am behooved. That corn.
So all the barrels that we get are usually under 140 proof. I think the highest barrel we had out of it was 138 proof. Some of them go down to as low as 120.
Oh my God. You guys, if you want to gift somebody who is I like to call it an avid whiskey drinker, and you want to give him something that he can appreciate, he or her can appreciate as a true whiskey that you give them, this is your sign for a holiday gift right here. This is it.
The release was 3 times bigger than the 13-year.
There's plenty of it. That's what he's trying to say. You don't have to go fight grandma in line for it. Just go grab one. I will tell you right now. Danny, I don't like you right now. Just
why does that always happen?
Danny,
violence. That's what you chose. I can nose this whiskey all day. It reminds me of almost like rose water, right? The smell you get from rose water, just beautiful rose water. But with nice spice note coming up with a little bit of that ethanol in. Oh my God. Okay. 15-year light whiskey is definitely a winner.
That's awesome. I love the light whiskey. I mean, that was the first thing when we came into the MGP there. We were like, we really want to bring back light whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't. I mean, they're. I think a lot of the barrels, at least like the 13 to 16-year age. I mean, they're kind of a lot of them are accounted for, going to be used because they obviously have. There's a cult following behind light whiskey, and that was awesome. That was like the first thing we asked for on day like.
It is 1. It's out on the market, guys.
That
I'm
was
telling
cool.
you right now, if there's one whiskey you want to grab, if you need a whiskey this holiday season, we are having Thanksgiving with friends, and one of the buddy texted me today. He said, "Hey, I have a cigar you have to try." I'm gonna text him tonight and say, "I have a whiskey you are going to love, but you are not keeping it." That's what it's gonna be. And the finish is very very odd because the finish gives you exactly. Oh, Wendy said it. It gives you that honey, that
Wait.
There we
toasted
go.
burnt caramel and honey on the
Wendy,
finish.
she always got that. Yeah, best tasting
And
note.
and she nailed it. Like I literally
Always
was just about to say it's like this weird honey thing in the back, and then all of a sudden I just saw Wendy post it. That is what it is. That's literally what it is. Is oh my god. Okay, all right. Now that you distracted me with this thing where I lost my focus, I want to talk about these experimentation that you guys are going through, right? Obviously, let's talk about my favorite, which is the Tokai. You did the
Yeah.
Tokai,
Oh yeah.
right? These barrels. Are you now that you're MGP family? Do you have that freedom still to explore into these odd, different, out of the the ordinary barrels? Are you still looking for these things, or is more like whatever our shareholders say, that's what we're doing now?
No, I mean, we
Oh,
are. That's really what Danny and I do is really just keep innovating, keep coming up with new things. It's interesting though. We have our Cooper series, so we have our core series, which is really our 4 grain and our barrel strength and architect and now toasted bourbons in there. And then we had all these wine cast finishes, right? So we came out with the Cooper series, which is Danny's son.
I didn't even talk about the architect because I feel like it's now the most popular thing out of Penelope anyway. But
Yeah,
the
but it's
people
one of my
love
favorites.
the
I love it.
architect. But we'll talk about it as I get into the private selections. So go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted
Yeah,
you.
no, you're fine. And I just, for us, we keep thinking about like next year, and we have our Cooper series, which really it's like, okay, once a quarter we have this wine cast finish, like the rosé. Well, we're gonna with MGP, like there, and it's helpful with having them behind us with some of the marketing resources. Is let's get, like, we want rosé cast finish to come out in May and be available all through the summer, and
Right.
things like that, like coming out with like a set schedule. Like that's something
Right.
we've always struggled with. That's actually really hard as you're growing and you're in new markets, and they're like, oh, just get rosé because they needed it, but it's November, and you're like, whatever, get it. So
Hmm.
we're gonna try to get to more of a schedule. But it's interesting. Danny and Matt and Wendy, like, we all talk about this a lot. It's like, where do you think bourbon is heading? I mean, I think there's all a place for wine cast finishes in the finishes side. But I think, and this is, we've kind of, Danny and I and the team, but, I do think like next year could be a year where you're kind of going back to some more of the basics,
Hmm.
going back to more like straight bourbon whiskey, some more of those traditional bourbon profile notes.
Hmm.
Um, for maybe it's, if you're a brand lucky enough to have access to some older juice, like I see that private select 9 year, like, good products, good age statements, good prices is really
Right.
what I think might be kind of the winning area for at least in terms of like a flavor profile. But I don't know. I guess you never really know, but it's just something interesting. Be curious what you think too.
I think the basics definitely is where I see it going, because I told someone, I was just talking about this on Sunday on my live. I said I'm tired of these weird finishes all day every day. For someone who loves single malt and the Scottish are doing that for a long time, I just want to go back to my good bourbon. And like I said, this 9 year right here, it's good bourbon. Right? Somebody said, "Well, serve me some good bourbon." There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And I love that. I love, I always say, I hope you guys don't get on the bandwagon of creating, crazy finishes to kind of prove that you guys can do it, because somewhere it's like your mom or your parent, right? You're like, I know how my mom is. I know how my dad is. And that's how it is. Like, oh, I know how you guys are, and I don't want y'all to be too different because I know how you are. It's good to shock the system every now and then and make sure that people are like, hey, we still here and we can do something crazy. We'll surprise you, like, Danny, Mike, you have kids and you know your kids, but you're like, every now and then they do something, you're like, that's very out of
Every
the
day.
ordinary for you, but good for you because you're building character. So that's how I see it, and that's what I want to see from y'all is more like, hey, let's keep with the basic. Let's bring out good bourbon. Danny, you're an amazing blender. Keep showing us what you can do with things
Thanks.
that you get with you. Now let's talk about the future. We're almost in December. 2024 is around the corner.
Oh boy.
What are y'all looking forward to for next year, and what should your consumer from 5 years ago, from day one, should be looking forward to now that you guys have gotten more into a bigger conglomerate and you have access to more things? What should they be looking forward to? That's really the question somebody asked me. It's like, well, what should we expect now, right? What is coming up down the pipeline for the holidays? If you'll indulge me, for the holidays, this is all you need right here. For the holidays, it's all you need. But now we asking about what is coming down the pipeline as far as 2024 Q2 Q3. What should the people say? Hey, I love Penelope. What coming up?
Danny, what do you got your hand in the cookie jar over there? What's in the cookie jar, Danny?
Oh man, it's a little bit of everything. Like obviously we still are tinkering with finishes as we just got off that train of saying they go against it. But like, Mike and I really like, as far as like what products we release, we don't, we're not like scouring, like public data, and market feedback and
It's just
trying
like
to like, yeah, we're not like putting it, we honestly have always just kind of followed what our palate wants to drink and like kind of what our bourbon journey has been. So like we are going to dabble with a new KS finish next year, a Cuban rum finish.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where like we're always dabbling with these finishes and like people won't ever see everything that we like work with at a small scale, like this, like people won't see that because it just doesn't go past Mike and I really. And, but the rum finish did, and we loved it. It was delicious.
Okay.
And then,
I don't even know where that's at. Are you doing you still tinkering with staves in that one as well too? Well,
yeah.
I don't even know.
We just
finished. You can't even tell me anything anymore.
Well, the rum part of it just finished. So like now it's like take that and see if we want to do something else to it or just leave it as is. But also like the aged whiskey, like we just kind of became Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, right? We got the golden ticket and we're rummaging around these barrel houses. And I was thinking about actually last night, it was like if somebody gave us aged whiskey 5 years ago when we first started, like it'd be like giving a Ferrari to somebody that didn't know how to drive.
Correct. Correct. You obviously wouldn't know what to do with it.
Right. I'm like forever grateful for that. So now it's like we're being respectful about the whiskey that we are working with now at those ages, because you have to respect it because of not a lot of it exists out there, and the fact that we get to use it is completely flattering.
It's a privilege.
Yeah, and it's a privilege. So we want to be respectful of that. So we're tinkering with straight bourbon blends, blends of straight whiskeys, at older ages. We're even looking at a
10-year single barrel,
right? Single barrel products. Like there's some damn good stuff in those rick houses.
Really good.
I think I may have to come back for another pick.
But you have to like actually go
do it at MGK. We'll do it there, Ross. And
there's little pockets that are delicious, and we've been lucky to have the chance to go through and start finding them, which is really exciting.
Absolutely. So, which as you talking about those, I don't think anybody give the opportunity to their account to be able to pick a barrel like you guys do. I don't know if it's your love for, as enthusiast yourself, but you, for being so big, so many people will say, I think, there was this guy, normally I would say is Donnie that actually have almost every Penelope single
Donnie,
on
Marty's on here.
big.
Marty's got a bunch.
But I will tell you what, I think I know someone who got him beat, that folk that is on my Instagram. I can't remember the name, but which he loved those
CJ does
because
a
he
lot.
feels like those are so different and so out of pocket. The level of creativity and largesse that you give your account to go, hey, you want to create this thing for your single barrel? Let's do it. Let's go crazy. I'm one of
Well,
those people
Jack.
that this is
Yeah, I was gonna say.
my biggest flex is that I created a cigar blend at
Yeah.
Penelope, and everybody that tried it is like, "Yep, that's true. This feels like a cigar blend." And if
But
I never
Jack,
been through
you
that
did that
myself,
pick. You
correct.
you did that
If
pick
I never
with
been
when
through that my pick, I'll be like, oh, you obviously, maybe they coached you into what you should get, but that's so not true. You guys truly give the opportunity to your account to create something unique to them so they can actually call it truly their single barrel for them and for their account. Are you keeping the same energy with your account, or is it more restricted now that you're
I think they just want us to keep doing what we're doing.
okay?
yeah.
Look, the way we look at it, man, it's just about the experience and just if you're an account, you're a customer of ours. Like that's an honor. And so it's just for and actually even going back before that, this is equally as fun for us as it is for everyone else. That's what kind of drives this whole ship forward for at least us and our team. I mean, we're all into whiskey. But yeah, that's definitely the name of the game is always you want to make sure it's a customer first experience. I guess that's how we've always treated it.
I was
I
gonna
would
say,
tell you
Jack,
right
we didn't
now.
have a label for your pick, remember?
No, you did not. You did not have a
Yeah.
label.
And we walk in, I'm like, this is this is good. We'll make a label for it.
It's truly one of a kind. I've sent samples to people, and they always say the same thing. That's truly one of a kind. And I wanted to remind everybody that if you are an account and you have Penelope,
Love it.
right? If you have Penelope as one of your stuff, and you are not reaching out to them to get your barrel pick, you are losing out because everybody's
Fun.
reaching out to be able to get one. So don't hesitate. Maybe, but not specifically Mike and Danny, but Wendy's there, and and and, and I haven't I have not
Wendy's
thrown
in there shaking her head. I guarantee
yeah, I
you.
have not thrown anything at Wendy yet.
No,
So
no,
I,
no, no.
that's my one time throw at Wendy. Wendy's there. She will be more than happy to to help you with that.
I can just see her shaking her head right
Yeah,
now,
you see,
smiling.
Omaha is here. They already, people
Oh,
already
nice.
submitted paperwork
Thank
for
you.
on the barrel pick. So it's one of those things that I will tell you right
Great.
now. See, Wendy said gray hair and all. So I will tell you right now is one of those things where I truly, truly, truly believe somewhere that you guys give an opportunity to brands that are on. I'll be reaching out to you guys soon because I'm doing a charity golf event. I want to raise money for two organizations that are making a difference in Africa and doing wells and helping young kids out that want to become entrepreneurs. And I'm doing a golf charity event, and I'm like, yep, I need Penelope right there. So
Well,
uh,
you can 100% count on us.
we can tell the story obviously of what how you guys came about, and it's one of those things where I'm very excited to do.
Awesome.
I cannot wait. Then when Mike, I cannot wait when I see y'all do what you do. When I say I'm expired and I'm excited, I know you guys are gonna do great things. I can think of what else you're gonna do next, but I know you're gonna do great. I I will let Danny go first, and then I will let Mike go.
And I'm going to go really short.
Yeah,
Actually, I technically went before Danny.
if uh, if there's something you want the world to know, if there's something you want the I would say the Penelope family, I won't call them consumer, the Penelope family to know, or be one thing you want them to know, as Danny, as co-founder of Penelope.
Whew. Um, wow.
Spotlight's on you.
Yeah. I was like, should I be prolific or
You know what? I'm even gonna do you one better. You get to be now on the center screen
oh
tonight.
geez.
Boom.
I was gonna say as we explore new mash bills and blends over the next, year and further on, just please go easy on us.
All right.
Hey, you heard it her first.
We're
I
a
will
work
tell
in
you right
progress,
now.
and all we can say is that we strive to just get better blend over blend and release after release.
And there's nothing more interesting or more inspiring than that statement, because a lot of people have really high expectations, obviously, because you guys have been doing just amazing. But I will tell you right now, one thing I just added down the banner. I want y'all, if you have not yet, make sure you go check this website out. That's the least you can do for these folks, is go check out the website. Just check it out. And if you still have any doubt after checking out the website and seeing what they're doing, you will understand why Danny said go easy on us, because I call him my favorite math scientist, because he will always give you great things, but it's gonna take a lot of craziness here before those things happen. So Danny, that I'm really touched by what you say. Yes, go easy on them as they're going through the transition, as they're trying to bring something great for you.
Come
We we
along for the journey.
we have Canada in the
Boom, my
in the, in
friend.
the house. So
Gene. Gene, I know.
Gina is here. Mike, it is your
Oh,
turn. What would you
got my haircut today. Super cuts. Got my super cuts. Good. I was like,
what,
yeah, I'm getting
what would
gray.
you want? What would you want the family to know as last word for the folks out there, as
Um,
they're discovering you? You've been around, a little bit, but as some people are still discovering
yeah.
they're still discovering the brand, and that's why I wanted to go back, right, and tell your story from the back all the way in. We'll obviously, I think this is a every 3 year thing. So in 3 years again, I'm pretty sure you'll be here again. Uh,
Oh,
and,
that's
and
too
we'll
long.
always do that, because I know you guys are going to be we'll be doing amazing more things. So I would see you in 48 months, in 2 years, or,
I think it'd be less than that.
in 24 months. I will see you again, because I know there's plenty
It'll be
of
sooner
you
than
guys are
that. And
doing.
no,
Oh,
I mean,
sooner than that, you'll be in the basement. We'll be here and enjoying good stuff.
Yeah.
I love that.
But
What was that crazy thing we drank in your basement? That was the real wild one. What was that? I think everyone talking about. What was
I don't
that?
even know if it's appropriate to say this on the
Okay, yeah, I don't
but,
remember what it was,
but
but I remember
those
something
are
being
African
super crazy.
African bitters, right? They're African bitters. They're African bitters they have ginger, clove. We call it the Corona killer. The African, is African moonshine that have
That's right.
it has clove, it has ginger, you have anise, it have all the spices in to be able to boost your immune system. So is that would be the most appropriate way is African roots.
It was wild. I'll never forget that. That thing was awesome.
Wait till I take you back home. That'll be your everyday consumption.
That's how much I trust. That's how much I didn't even ask what it was. You just handed it to me.
Just
and I
yeah,
drank it.
just have it.
Yeah, just fired it
Matt
back.
went home and he said my colon is cleared.
Oh man, that's awesome.
But yes, Danny, the last word is yours. This is your baby, this is y'all's baby, and what would you want the family to know as you're going through your transition, as you're going through, this thing that we call, the Penelope story, as you're building it?
Oh man, I already said it. I was gonna say just join us on our journey. That's all I can.
Yes.
That's all I
Yes.
can say. I mean, I love everyone and love everybody we met along the way, and excited to just keep
Yeah.
Keep
keep
doing it.
doing it.
Thank you guys.
Let's go to our
Go
our,
ahead.
our main salesman, Mike. Tell me something.
No, it's just been a fun ride. I mean, we got to know so many great people over the last 5 years, and I mean, it's not slowing down. It's just that's what's so exciting, and that's just everything. It's just continually progressing, and we love being part of the community. We love the friendships that we've made and built, and looking forward to making new ones and keep this thing rolling. And like I always said, if you have something that you do not like, remember Danny made it. No, I'm just Danny's so sick of me saying that every time we have a whiskey dinner. That's like my icebreaker. That's my icebreaker at whiskey dinners.
Folks,
Always, and it always
you
works.
heard it.
It
You,
always
you,
works.
you heard it here. These are the people behind the brand. These are the folks that are day in and day out making the decisions behind the brands. They're just like you, fathers. Uh, they work hard like you just to see you enjoy this American American delicacy we call bourbon and whiskey. Uh, Remember that it's a daily grind for you guys to be able to get what you have some grace, enjoy responsibly, and always remember that they are here for you. They're just like you, and they really want you to actually enjoy their spirit. And it's not every day that you just see a brand and not the faces. So when you get a chance to see a brand and the face that comes with the brand, it brings joy because you know who you are supporting. You're not just supporting a name. It's not MGP. These are the families that you're supporting. For all of you guys we don't know, when Mike tells the story, there's been days where he put a bunch of shit in his car and just drive around and hope that people actually grab a bottle or buy, just sign up to be an account. So I would just tell y'all right now, the journey was not easy, but I'm so happy to see where it's going and things that are happening. I get a little emotional because I've known you guys personally, and I know how hard you guys work to actually get to where you are. I just want to personally tell y'all I'm proud of y'all. I'm proud of all the work you're doing. I'm proud of how you're changing the whiskey game, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what the future hold for all of you guys at home on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and or on YouTube here. I just want to thank you all for joining us. This is probably one of the highest comments and views that we've seen through any live in the last year. Everybody wanted to come. It shows how loved you guys are in the community. From my Facebook groups
Thank
to
you.
everybody, everyone from Africa to Canada to Alaska to everywhere in the Midwest, everybody came to support and listen to y'all talk. It says a lot about you, your character, and what you've done in the past year. Thank you all so much for taking your time this afternoon, this evening, and coming and spending time with me. For all of you guys here, his name is Mike Palladini. He is Daniel. Daniel, you are Polosi?
Yeah, Palisi.
Palisi, yeah,
Close enough.
he's Daniel Palisi,
Yeah.
and I'm Jack Bigedu, also known as the Hood Sommelier. And I want to thank you all for spending time with us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Jack.
Cheers.